in one age, called the Third Age by some,
An age yet to come.
an age long past.
A wind rose on the Geek at Arms podcast.
The wind was not the beginning,
There are neither beginnings,
nor endings to the turning of the Wheel of Time.
but it was a beginning.
Welcome to Woolheads, a Wheel of Time podcast by Geek at Arms. I'm Brian, and here's a man that I think surely must be Taviran. It's James.
The light illume you, Brian.
And you as well, James. Do I need to say it again? I probably do. Maybe somebody's found us for the first time and don't know already that we spoil it all. We spoil it all, people, all the way to the end.
That's right.
So if you don't want to know what happens when Mat reads Moraine's letter to Tom in Book 10, this is your chance to get out. And speaking of Tom, it's Tom!
Thom Bloody Merrilin.
He's back and he's got some snazzy new duds. Love the hat.
Love the Gleeman cloak, or coat in this case.
Right. The hat's going to look even better on Mat, of course, but
Yep.
I like it on Tom too.
I had him for my changes in the pattern, but I mean, we're too happy. We're finally.
I'm sure we'll still get to talk about it in several points
yes.
during this episode.
I mean, as Mat said it in the marketplace, Thom Bloody I was standing in my seat. Thom Bloody Merrilin.
I was so happy.
Oh.
I heard his voice over the crowd. I'm like, oh, he's here. He's here.
He's here. Suddenly, a show that has just been knocking out of the park just sends it into the stands and take a bow. Thank you. Do not make him a one episode a season wonder. Okay?
I hope not.
I will be so mad. I know he's not in every single book, but still, just give us. You completely omitted him from season 2. Just give us a little more with him. Just let him play some more.
They foreshadowed that relationship with Elayne, so I think he's sticking around, at least for the end of this season.
Yes, you're right. You're right. And all of this, of course, is taking place in Tanchico. In an earlier episode...
Land of the janky costumes.
I claimed that Tanchico was fantasy New Orleans. I might be wrong. I'm thinking now Tanchico is actually fantasy Florida.
Fantasy Florida. Well, there were enough palm trees, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Because there are a lot of things that when you read the headlines of Florida Man could be applied to, let's see, Tanchico Man arrested for illegally renting out home he didn't own. Tanchico Man with more than 20 arrests. Tanchico Man allegedly hid dead body and alligator inside hotel room closet.
Tanchico Man devoured by own boa constrictor.
Yes. Tanchico Man run over by van after dog pushes accelerator.
Well, as much as we dog on Tanchico, I wanted to point out that establishing shot. It wasn't actually an establishing shot. It was like a transitional shot of the city. It was a classic matte painting angle where you had this narrow, tight set with a lot of people packed into it, and then above it you had, all of your scenery. It's like, wow, this is like right out of Citizen Kane or something. The exact same kind of angles that they did in the old school matte paintings. Mm-hmm. And of course, now we can dress up the foreground with a little bit of CG too, which was harder in the days of optical processing. But you wind up with this very realistic looking scene, and you don't have to spend a fortune on it. That's a pretty cheap shot, all told, in terms of VFX.
It was a nice shot, and once we get into Tanchico itself, much better costuming this time around. More uniform, a lot less slapdash.
Maybe they just pull out the really weird, eclectic stuff for weddings.
That's good point. I did enjoy the inclusion of the veils. That is something that is discussed quite a bit in the books, and to see it used by men and women throughout the city, and even by visitors to the city, as we'll see later, its inclusion was I appreciate that they went to that extent.
Yeah, I always had a hard time reading the books, remembering that everybody's wearing a veil, and I would just delete it from my memory in my mind's eye until someone talked about how do people talk with these things. It keeps getting in my mouth. And the Hills of Tanchico is quite a catchy tune.
It is. It seems like it only has like one verse and then the chorus over and
Yeah,
over and over again. But then again, so do a lot of popular songs these days.
that's true.
So, I mean, I can't really dog it for that. And everyone seems to love it. So it's one that, Tom is going to be breaking out all the
Mm.
time.
The first two times through, I was a little put off a bit by the woman fondling herself so obviously.
I was like,
I was thinking,
Hills of Tanchico.
we,
I get
we
it.
get it. It could be a
Ah,
little subtler.
yeah.
But then I read a blog post somewhere about Elayne's reaction, and I watched it again. And so she looks down just in time to see that gesture. And then you can see the shock on her face as she suddenly realizes what this song is
It
about.
dawns on her. Yeah.
And then she looks over at Tom, and he's just, you asked for it.
Yep. You started this.
So I was like, okay, well, in service of getting that reaction shot, I will forgive the a little bit too overt.
And let's be honest, it is the song and how it is interpreted is very much in style for this city.
Mm-hmm.
Tanchico is a lot of things. Subtle is not one of them.
Yeah, and it was perfect for Elayne specifically because she always had in the novels that character of she's like memorizing curse words, but she doesn't really know what they mean. And I was really happy that we finally got
a great resource for that.
Right. I'm glad we finally got a goat kissing fool, and I'm glad that it came out of Elayne's mouth.
And I think at one point I finally heard blood and ashes.
Yeah, that was in the previous episode. I did note that down. I don't remember who said it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, they got the cursing right.
I remember one point Matt in the books goes, bloody ashes and bloody buttered onions.
Right.
And he stops because he sees Elayne mouthing the words of what he just. He's like,
bloody buttered onions.
Bloody buttered. She can't be. No, she's the daughter bloody heir of Andor. She couldn't be trying to memorize my curse words.
That was, I think, probably one of my favorite parts about her personality in the books.
Mm-hmm. It's always the book nerds. It's always the study, the quiet ones.
Before we get out of our production conversations, I wanted to talk about another great, fantastic VFX sequence.
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about?
That'd do.
Starting with Samael's, like, magical maul.
Lighthammer!
Yeah. Avianda's fire spears. It's just, and the way they're visualizing the taint and how it gets stronger when Rand is angry.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of that attack, there was just taint. And there's just a tiny sliver of a moment before the dust covers him that just the corner of his mouth rises and you can see he's enjoying it.
Yeah. Just a touch of madness, of manicness. Mm-hmm. And that'll be something to keep an eye on in the future.
Yeah.
But, his emotional state influencing, how the power goes through him feels very in keeping with Sadar.
Saidin.
Saidin. I knew I was going to get the two mixed up.
Yeah. Oh, and on that topic, we did get a mention finally of the dichotomy of Sadar and Saidin.
First time in a
episode.
Very long time, I think, or
I don't
if
think
at all.
I don't think that ever mentioned it in the show.
I didn't know if they had mentioned it in the first season or not. It's been a while.
No, they kind of made a deal about they kind of like blurred that out, trying to make the dichotomy between men and women wielding the power not so big a deal.
Well, because it's the mention is so understated. It's like, women do not, we do not use Sidar like you use Saidin. I'm like, wow, that was really like almost underneath her breath, very quick. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't have dropped those names unless they had discussed it before. If that's the first they've made mention of them, they did it in a very understated way.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually something I meant to mention in the previous episode was in my Copland talk was the viewing audience who's just seen the TV show, has never read the books, doesn't have a clue what these two words mean.
Yeah,
and they've just been
they've no if
Sidar and Sidene are
yeah.
different. Like, what the crap are those?
Yeah, if they didn't mention them at all in season 1, it didn't bother me at first because I'm like, oh, they had to have mentioned it in season 1. If they didn't, then that's quite the bombshell to drop.
Yeah, so I guess people, all of you TV viewers that we have already told not to listen to our show, Sidar is the female half of the source and Sidene is the male.
Mm-hmm. For more information, they are spelled just how they sound. Go to Wikipedia.
Or, we got 14 books that we'd like you to read. 15 books, including New Spring.
And here's the good news. You don't have to wait around for them all like we did.
Right.
I've got one last production note, and actually it's a practical effect, as in the Hanging Gardens of Aiel of the Waste.
Right.
Answers my question. Where's their food coming from? They looked really nice.
I liked that set a lot.
Me too. And they didn't do like a great establishing shot of it. Welcome to our gardens, our farm. No, we just
walk around the corner and there it is.
And Rand's like, oh, wait, hold on. I'm seeing green. What?
I kind of wished we'd gotten a comment about this is why we call it Cold Rocks Hold, because these are the cold rocks.
That would have been nice. But the set looked good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that, I would have liked an establishing shot the camera could have pulled out, and so you could have seen several more areas like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it's going to take more than just that one little garden to feed all those people.
I mean, a lot more.
Because there's like 10,000 Taradat Aiel.
Exactly. So, but that answers the question. The fact that they can grow at least food, then that means that they can also grow things like flax, which then can be used to make linen. So
and
they have a source of food and they have a source of clothing.
And they mentioned goat herds, so they've also got goats to draw
for bone and skin and leather
and milk. Well, if I have any complaint about Tom's reappearance in this show, any complaints at all, this is the only one, is that we didn't get to hear more of his song about the Horn of Valir.
Agreed. we hear hints of it, just almost like it's almost out of earshot when you begin to hear his voice, and at that point you're not paying attention to the words, you're just excited to hear his voice.
Yeah. So I hope we get to hear the whole song at some point. Not the whole song, because it's probably like 20 minutes long, but at least enough of it that we can really get an idea of it.
Agreed. You know what? I would have liked it if they if that was the song that was playing during the credits.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I would have liked that. I don't think they wrote enough of it to do that.
Well, they need to get on it. Don't stop teasing us. You've teased us enough about Tom. It's time for some payoff. I found this interesting. You remember how I referred earlier as Tanchico as actually is Fantasy Florida? Yes. So we get our heroes. We get Egwene. I'm sorry, not Egwene. She's off having her own problem, existential nightmare, and literal nightmare. Mm-hmm. We've got Elayne. We've got Nynaeve, and Min and Mat hunting for Black Aja in a foreign and strange and foreign city. Mm-hmm. Let's get sloshed. Yeah. Let's get hammered. And I feel like I'm not watching the Wheel of Time anymore. I'm watching the spring break of time. Fantasy spring break. Because that's what it feels like Elayne is doing. She's blending in. I'm dead serious. She's drinking. She's hanging out with boys in the bar. Not doing a whole lot of looking for Black Aja and barely looking for the artifacts. And it's true. She's trying to blend in. Like she says, I think a couple of times, I'm blending in.
She didn't get to go on her Tuatha Onrum Springa. This is her substitution.
This is her gap episode.
Right.
Nynaeve and Min, though, if Elayne's the party girl who is hitting up like the raves, Nynaeve and Min are like the two down for some serious drinking. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what they do. They're just stumbling through the streets like, woohoo! And this is the one episode where I think we see Mat being the most responsible.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was just thinking. It's like, wait a minute, I'm the responsible one? This isn't right.
This is not right at all. And it kind of threw me. I'm like, no, you are here for a very serious reason. There are people who are trying to, capture the dragon. They're killers, murderers in a city where the worst things happen, as we
Mhm.
see at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, that's the
And
very
you're
first
you're
thing Min says is,
yeah,
"You guys are going to get your throats cut.
and
Follow my lead."
follow my
And then
lead.
what does she do?
Here,
She gets
we have to lay
blinding
low.
later on.
We have to be careful. Drink these. They're both for you. Let's knock some back and just relax a little bit, loose, woo,
Yeah, and then they get the information they're after, and they're too drunk to realize it.
yeah,
They have to get it a second time from somebody else.
let's just sing about the hills of Tanchico, woo, and then
I do remember from the books, though, that they made a lot of really bad choices in those chapters. So,
so how many bad choices can we squeeze into their 15 minutes of screen time?
right, we've only got 10 episodes or 8 episodes. We got to do them all.
Oh, uh, yeah. I As a little part of me, I partially understood it from Elayne.
Mhm.
This actually is like Elayne's spring break because she is getting away. She got away from having to go back to Andor and become daughter heir full
Mhm.
time by the skin of her teeth. And instead of having to do that, she uh, clandestinely snuck away from Tar Valon, a mission from the Amyrlin, heading to an exotic city, and is dressing up like a local, using an accent, standing on a table, singing a song about the hills, great tracts of land, and she's having a ball. She is sowing her wild oats, uh, as only a young person in that situation can. And the fact that there's danger about Black Aja, Forsaken, and more is just adding to that. So
Mhm.
this is her sowing her wild royal oats before she has to adopt the royal full time.
Yeah. And it should be mentioned, it does come home to roost that they're not being as discreet as they should be, and they get found out.
Yeah, and I loved that part. I was thinking, what is the daughter heir of Andor doing right here? Right as Tom going, is that the daughter bloody heir of Andor?
I'm still wondering how this random guy in a bar in Tanchico recognized her.
Exactly.
Oh,
It's not like there's pamphlets.
well, maybe there are. Maybe she's been associated with Eamon's Fielders long enough that they're circulating her picture along with Rand, Matt, Perrin, and Egwene's and Nynaeve's.
That is a distinct possibility.
So we may see him pop up as random dark friend later in the season.
Uh, Moving on from Tanchico, we've talked about the hills of Tanchico enough for now.
Yes.
Um, Something that I did not like happening, but I believe it happened in the book, is that the adorable young Aiel girl, Ruark's granddaughter, ends up dying in this episode. I think
Yeah.
she also passes in the book, or
Uh,
an unnamed child
yeah,
passes in the
that
book.
happened at the very beginning of the book while they were still in the Stone of Tyr.
Gotcha. And they transplant that situation here to
Mm-hmm.
much more devastating emotional effect. When I first watched it, I really hated it. Um, Not just because I'm a dad, but I talked about last episode how much Matt's mom dying at the hands of the White Cloaks really bothered me,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like the same thing was happening again. Let's kill a woman to add gravitas and to drive home, the the seriousness of this situation and to make it more tragic. And I remembered later that, like, oh wait, no, they took that scene from Tyr and they put it here. But
Yeah.
initially, it like, can we let's not be doing this, writers, please, let's not.
It was a really crucial scene for Rand, particularly since we don't have his coterie of maidens yet, and I think at this point that's
That's right in
that
the
turning point in his character is happening right around this point in the story.
that's right in the books. It was one of the maidens who died.
Yeah, and so this is where he's starting to make that litany of names in his head and remembering
The
every single person that
names.
dies for him.
I had forgotten about the names.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
I'm glad that I don't want to say I'm glad that they moved it here, because it is heart wrenching. It was, it is what it is.
Mhm.
But I am glad that we didn't get the bit of him trying to walk her around like a puppet, because I
Yeah.
don't think I could have stood that.
Meaning, no, I would have gotten
I
mad. I
couldn't
would
have
have gotten
endured it.
visibly angry at the show if they had done that. But I will give credit where credit is due to Josha Stradowski.
Mm-hmm.
Um, his portrayal of manic desperation in that moment. I'm the dragon reborn. I can feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
Was
And
was was heartbreaking to watch.
bouncing around between the two states of his emotions, and you're not sure, is this his genuine human reaction to this, or is this the madness starting to overtake him? And then,
Mm-hmm.
like we said, when he's angry, when he's upset, the taint is stronger, and it was overwhelming anything that we could see as Sidene itself.
Yeah, we only see Samael on screen for a moment. He comes into Rand's quarters with apparently a few Shido, which doesn't get
Mm-hmm.
addressed at all. Uh,
Right.
is about to kill Rand with a weapon straight out of World of Warcraft. Um, and then Avienda shows up, which at this point has not channeled at all. And
Yeah.
now she got fire spears. But they get away from him by the skin of their teeth. Samael looking like this is going to be a wicked fight. What's Rand going to do? He doesn't have a sword or anything. And Rand, his back turned to him, just
Doesn't
calls
even
down
look at him.
lightning and drops him.
Yeah, I think we're getting into stuff that we like. I had a little bit more on Copland talk still.
I did as well. Was flowing from the good to the bad. From the bad to the
Yeah,
good. So
we'll get there. I have a
we'll
lot to
get
say
there.
about Samael.
Gotcha.
Um,
Speaking
in
of,
terms of things I didn't like in the Aiel bit, was Egwene confessing her lies to the wise ones, and they just let it go by.
yeah,
And it robs Egwene of a major part of her arc. That
mm-hmm.
that chance to discharge her toe.
Yeah. The
is
fact that the wise ones let it go just so
Mhm.
dismissively is very much against the whole concept of toe, which they they took a moment to portray with Rand
Mhm.
and the little girl.
And Sarah, yeah.
Yeah.
And removing that from Egwene, that her adoption of that Aiel mindset, I mean, that's the only reason she was able to survive infiltrating the White Tower later on, was because there was nothing that the Mistress of Novices could do to her that she hadn't already experienced tenfold from the Aiel beating her half to death.
Yeah.
So I was a little upset that just, you're not really Aes Sedai. We're just going to ignore that and go on to it. It bugged me.
Same here.
Another thing that bugged me, but a lot more, unless you had more about the Aiel, I'm going to move on to Emond's Field.
I have one last thing on the Aiel.
Okay.
The young girl, what was her name?
Alcera.
Alcera has died. Rand has finally stopped trying to to channel to bring her back, or maybe this was before that, I don't remember. But Avienda walks up and says, "Life is a dream," sounding like she's reading it from a cue card.
Yeah, it
Her
was.
her delivery of that line was so lifeless and monotone, and I realize that is what has been bugging me about her
Yeah, she's
since
a little
she
wooden.
arrived. Her voice is completely like that, monotone, lifeless. Her almost zero inflection.
Hmm.
She's saying the lines, but it's like she's reading them from a script in a room and
That
not
one
in
gave me
character.
the. Yeah, that one gave me the sense of it's. She was saying it like a catechism almost. Like this is something that we say, and I could totally believe her being just so in shock that
Hmm.
this is just the thing that we say, but it's compounded by a lot of her other delivery
Yeah.
is not really great.
Whenever she has said the word Kara Karn, it sounds completely wrong in her mouth.
Hmm.
And um, nothing against Ayula Smart, but her line delivery has just bothered me from the beginning. Um, and it's
She had some moments in this. Her uh, her teaching in air quotes Rand. There were some bits in that I really
that
enjoyed her performance.
that wasn't bad, but lately I'm feeling that's been the exception
Hmm.
instead of the rule. And
Yeah, I would
um,
agree with that.
and they, I mean, we're not going to get a different Avienda like we got a different Mat, but then again, the first Mat that we had wasn't that bad either.
It's true. It
Um,
was the writing that was failing him.
Agreed. This time, it's not the writing that's failing Avienda. It's the performance that she's giving. It's
Mhm.
just really bothering me. And pick an accent, darling. Just pick an accent, stick with it, and get a vocal inflection coach. Just
Mm,
do something to make me believe. Because I always picture the book as she's a bit of a firecracker, and she's got she can be very serious at times, but she's got spirit. She's got
yeah,
heart.
that's what's missing. Yeah,
Yes.
she doesn't have that
Yeah,
passion that we expect
I
from
haven't seen
Avienda.
any of it from her. And
There
it's
was
it's
there
it's
was
almost
some
like
of it
she's bored by the whole situation.
in the second season when she's first meeting Perrin. I thought her portrayal was much better.
Mhm.
Well, on to Eamon's Field.
Yes.
Dara Bashir is not a dark friend. I'm sorry. I don't buy it. I mean, the way Faile told the story makes me think that it's canon, but I'm holding on to the hope that she's lying
About the story that she told about her mother admitting that she was a
about her
dark
mom
friend.
being a dark friend. Yeah,
No, because we meet her mom in the books.
yeah, and she's awesome.
Yeah. Even parents like, I see where Faile gets it all.
Hmm. I mean,
And
it wouldn't be out of character for her to be lying about it. I mean, right up until Perrin actually met the man, he thought her father was a merchant.
yeah. Now, it, her dad grew to be one of my favorite characters.
I think we said in an earlier episode that he's in the running for second best dad.
Yes, absolutely. And I if you make that great character, if you write in the show that he marries a dark friend, I'm sorry, writers, you have toe with me.
Exactly.
I am
Yes.
holding you accountable for that.
Yeah, I don't think that he gets to be second best dad without Dira as a foil. That relationship was
Yeah.
was so pivotal in his character. I was really very much upset about that.
Davram, that's his name, Davram
Yeah,
Bashir.
Davram.
He's going to show up one of these days, friends, and Brian and I are going to be so happy. Well, let me take that back. I hope Brian
I
and I will
hope you'll
be
be
so
happy.
happy. There are books I would reread just to see him again.
Hmm.
So, Marshal General to Queen Tenobia.
And it's a relatively minor quibble, but I wish that they'd had Alana at least demonstrate the healing weave to Bode and Eldrin.
I'm with you on that. 100%. 100%. This
It's
whole
like,
thing, like we've never channeled before, but we're just gonna embrace the source
and
and
immediately do the most dangerous weave to get
yes,
wrong.
we're gonna shove them into your body. What could go wrong? The
It's
music
not
is
like it would have
yeah.
cost any more time or increased the VFX budget because they're already there channeling.
Mm-hmm.
Just take out a little bit of the flower opening to light lesson and say, here's what a healing weave looks like. Please
Well,
mimic it.
oh no, wait, the heartfelt music is playing. We got to skip all that, girls. All right, let's get to the healing. Yeah. Well, I started anyway to get into the more positive aspects of the show.
Yes.
So we continue
Let's
with
move
that.
on. Let's.
Thom Bloody Merrilin.
You know, I raved about him so much at the beginning. I don't think I have anything more to say.
Neither do I. Oh, I just more guitar playing, please.
Yes, more.
That song he played from the first season, I still listen to regularly. I hope that it is Sierra Coveney singing in this episode. As if
It
so,
is.
she has a lovely voice.
How that came about is, I think it was during one of the rap parties or something. She actually sang something, and the rest of the cast just were like flabbergasted. Girl's got a voice.
Yeah, she's got
And so
some
they
pipes.
wrote this scene because she had been singing on set.
I approve of that. I very much approve of that.
As do I think anybody who can sing in Hollywood, and well, this isn't exactly Hollywood, these are shooting all over the world.
Mhm.
Anybody who can sing in the film and television industry, give them a chance to do it, because I almost always love it.
Agreed.
I mean, sometimes they do like a musical episode in a show where they really shouldn't. I'm looking at you, Scrubs.
Yeah, as much as they love to sing about it, everything does not come down to poo. Except that one time I talked to a doctor and he told me actually it does all come down to poo. But anyway, continuing.
But in most cases, I really like when they give somebody a chance to showcase their pipes.
Agreed. I mean, shoot, the musical episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer was one of the absolute best.
Mm-hmm.
We even got a musical...
And that even without some really strong singers.
Yeah. We even got a musical Star Trek Strange New Worlds episode. Which
I'm still not sold on that one.
You know what? I enjoyed it for what it was. And especially the tongue-in-cheek moments.
Mm-hmm.
A few people on there did a really great job. And so I enjoyed it for what it was.
If it had been a Lower Decks episode, I'd have been all for it. But putting it in Strange New Worlds is like putting a musical episode in Battlestar Galactica. It's like, it doesn't fit. Anyway, but we're not. This isn't a Strange New Worlds podcast. This is about the Wheel of Time.
How did that happen? I wonder who brought that up. Anyway,
it's weird.
Yeah,
put two of us in a room when we talk about Star Trek. It's uncanny.
Well, it didn't devolve to Babylon 5, which it usually does.
I almost said Babylon 5. As a matter of fact, I had a quote from Babylon 5 about the previous episode that I elected not to say.
Oh, forgive us, listeners. This is a problem that Brian and I have had for almost 30 years.
You say it's a problem. I don't see it that way.
I don't either, actually. Oh, did we have any other positive notes for this episode?
I do.
Let's get to those.
So much.
All right.
A small one first, leading into it. The payoff for Mat's portrait is fantastic.
Yes.
Perrin, of all people, uses it to get some touch.
That's the horn. Yes. That's it right there. That's your friend. Yes.
Mat.
That was great.
And leading off from that scene, I thought Faile's counseling of Perrin was just beautiful writing.
Agreed.
That line, "Don't take away her honors, still mourning her so long."
Mm-hmm.
She didn't try to excuse him like Egwene did. That was Egwene's mistake, was, oh, it wasn't really your fault. Faile accepted his feelings and validated him. And then redirected him. She didn't try to change his mind, but she complimented Layla. She said, "Was she a good fighter? Honor her for that." Elevating Layla instead
Yeah.
of trying to say, "No, it wasn't really as bad as you feel it was." I
Yeah.
loved it so much. Yeah, I loved the scene so much. It was lovely.
And I really have been enjoying the chemistry between Perrin and Faile.
Mm-hmm.
When we first met Faile, I was a little worried about that. I will admit, it took me a minute to get past the heavy accent
Yeah,
that she was
and
using.
she was really stiff at first.
She was. She's loosened up quite a bit. We're
Yeah, I
getting
think it was
a
because she
great
was playing a
interpretation of the
part.
character. She's what?
I think it was because she was playing a part. She was
Yeah.
trying to be the hunter for the horn, and now she's being more honest and more
She's not being
vulnerable.
Mandarb anymore.
Right.
that was also great. It means blade in the old tongue. That's what my
Yeah, I
friend named
know.
his horse.
Straight out of the book.
Yep. Well,
Except that in the book, Mandarb was actually present at the time.
it was. I like that it's been a repeating theme. She's being so serious and being a hunter for the horn, calling herself Blade, and twice now, Perrin's just pulled the rug right out from underneath her.
And not doing it because he wants to. It's just Perrin being Perrin. He's being honest. He's being his own genuine self.
He knows a little bit. You see that humor in his eyes. He
Yeah,
knows
he
a little
teases her.
bit.
Yeah, I'm really loving Rutherford's portrayal of Perrin. He makes it seem so effortless.
So earnest in it.
Yeah, he's
so believable.
You don't feel him acting. It's just
this is who he is.
I'm so very, very happy with him.
This is a guy who I've spent time in a blacksmith's forge, and I just want to hang out for a day working metal with the guy.
Yep.
Maybe we'll actually see him put hammer to steel for once.
Very briefly, occasionally.
Yep. It happens in a dream. But you know what was interesting, though? In the dream, what was he forging?
He was making the big axe.
Yes, he was.
I think that indicates that he's starting to understand the place that violence is going to have in his life.
Mm-hmm.
There was one other just amazing bit, and I surprised myself by loving it so much, but Moghedian spitting in the food. I don't know what was up with her, like in the underwear drawer and contaminating the cake. It's like, oh, she is so creepy. And yet
I think, though, that anyone who has worked in food service understood her completely in that moment. It's just that Moghedian is unhinged enough to do what they've all dreamed of doing.
Yeah, I never imagined her when I was reading the books, I never imagined her acting girlish the way she did when she was interrogating Nynaeve and Elayne.
Mm-hmm.
This actor's name is Laia Costa, I believe. I probably mispronounced it.
Who's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, her portrayal is so different from what I expected, but it's an amazing interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she somehow manages to skate right up to cute and then stop short just enough to turn it into creepy.
Yeah.
Like Wednesday Addams in reverse.
Like when she has the one member of the Black Aja literally at Thumb's end.
Yeah.
Like you said, it goes from being just a bit, silly and weird to nope, this is horrifying. This is terrifying.
Yeah, she is something else, I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. Well, shall we cast to the future and see what is left? And we've only 2 episodes left now.
Yeah, we're getting there pretty fast. I promised more talk about Samael, and this is where I'm going to put it, because I don't think he's really dead.
I don't either.
We see him buried under the rubble just for a moment, but it's kind of a throwaway shot. And Moraine looks, oh, there's that Forsaken guy. Of course, she wouldn't have recognized him. She wouldn't know who he is.
And as I know Rand's attack was deadly, but I feel like it's still going to take more than a couple of lightning bolts and a boulder
Mm-hmm.
to kill a Forsaken.
Yeah, it would really undercut the Forsaken for one of them to be taken down so easily, no matter how
Mhm.
enraged Rand is. And we've seen how fast they can make a gateway and get out.
Yeah.
So I think that he escaped through a gateway at the last second. Maybe he left an imposter behind, or maybe that was never even Samael to start with.
Mm-hmm. If he has killed him, and I think it's their attempt to show that while the Forsaken are frighteningly powerful, more so than any other Aes Sedai or Force or channel users or channelers in this age, they're still not Luz Theron.
Mm-hmm. And they are still human.
Yes.
But I don't know. As much as they built him, as Jordan built him up in the book, and as many in the novels, Samael always appeared to be a very straightforward, bluff general type.
Mm-hmm.
But Luz Theron, always in the back of his head, knows no, Samael's super sneaky.
Yeah.
And his public persona is part of his sneakiness.
Yeah. Whereas in this episode, he just waltzes into Rand's bedroom and starts smashing things.
With a literal hammer.
Yeah.
The literal blunt instrument.
Well, Rand is obviously a nail, so I'm going to use a hammer.
So I expect that we'll see him again. We'll get that reveal before the end of the season.
I think we'll see him that he's alive, that he's hurt, he's damaged. Mm-hmm. He's definitely had his pride taken a knock to that, but not dead.
But I think if they wait any longer than episode 8 of this season, then it'll feel too arbitrary.
Honestly, I think we might see him in the next episode.
We very well could, and it wouldn't surprise me.
But speaking of the finale, I don't think that this is really a stretch to say, but I believe that's when we're going to get the Battle of the Two Rivers.
Oh, yeah.
I think in this next episode, we're going to see the preparations. We're going to see like the town, people gathering, the town being fortified, Perrin making himself some armor and a weapon. Mm-hmm. And then in the episode 8 is going to be the battle itself. And we'll see how the Trollocs and the mixed White Cloak army are going to figure into it.
Padden Fane corrupting them. I thought that was interesting that we're starting to see that, his presence corrupting the people around him.
Well, is he corrupting the people around him, or did they kill the White Cloak reinforcements and Dark Friends took their armor? That's how I interpreted it.
That could be what they're doing for the show. That'll be a change, because in the books he was pretending to be like an auxiliary attached something or other to a White Cloak brigade, and the longer he was around them, the more they stopped paying any attention to their discipline and laundry.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it could go either way in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be happy either way, really.
Same.
We have Min's vision in the Redstone doorway. I talked about that last episode, and Mat being hung. So I think we're heading definitely to the Panarch's Palace pretty soon. And I think that the door is going to be part of the Terangriel Trove. I think they've moved that from the Stone of Tyr to Tanchico.
Agreed.
But what I'm most looking forward to seeing is if they drop the Easter egg that Jordan put in the Panarch's Palace, and if we will see a Mercedes hood ornament in the museum.
Time will tell.
And it seems that I did not change my sign-off line at the end. Do you have a phrase for us?
I meant to look one up, and I don't right now.
Right. Well, I'll see if I can remember the one from the Tuatha on from the top of my head. The way of the leaf is peace. You came in peace, now depart in peace.